Hi, everybody. Welcome to Nine and Wine. My name is Andy Watley. I'm a co-host with Chris Lane of this continuing podcast or video podcast. Thanks to KTSM NBC9 for helping distribute the podcast and the El Paso Wine and Food Festival, of which Chris and I are both deeply involved with. And we have a very cool guest today as well. His name is Albert Park. He's the wine director for what will be known as Testa Rosa, which is a new restaurant that a lot of people know Austin, by the way, from Casa Pantera. And but Albert Park is going to be the wine director there at this new restaurant that we're all really kind of looking forward to. So really appreciate everybody watching and appreciate everybody coming today. And Chris, I think in rich tradition, we usually start off with a little bit of wine before we dive into the conversation. So why don't we start with our best part?
So sure, little hard, this is an early morning podcast for us. We're normally a little bit later, so I was trying to figure out what would go good with breakfast. So something light and very floral. One of the most floral wines I think that really is on the planet, to be honest with you. This grape is when you're doing blind tasting and you're looking at reds, you start out, your first question is with your eyes, but in white the first question is with your nose, and it's floral aromatic or non-aromatic. And this is the one you hope to have on a test, because it's so easy. This is the most aromatic, in my opinion, grape wine there is. So this is from where I'm from. My family's from Alsace, on the eastern border of France, next to Germany. This is one of the four noble grapes, and this is Gewürztraminer. So it's delicious. A lot of people mistake the fruitiness, because it is the floral fruitiness on this is really overwhelming. They mistake it for residual sugar, which there is a little in here, but it's really has a lot more to do with the amount of flowers. They got about 10 million flowers packed into this bottle.
Is that a readily available wine at all the usual sources?
Yeah, I'm sure. I got it from a local distributor, so yeah. I guess I don't pay attention too much to where it is, but it's got to be somewhere, or you can ask for it because it's here in El Paso.
Well, I've tried it, and it's
very delightful.
What you guys think of it? Did you like it?
Yeah, I love me a little bit of Gewürztraminer. It's always a pretty wine. It's very tasty. Pretty good with Thai food, pretty good with Asian cuisine.
That's right. This is one of the best wines to pair with spicy Asian food. Yeah, it's that sugar takes off a little bit of the edge of the spice. The one thing you don't want to have with spicy is high alcohol, because think about burning your tongue and then putting alcohol on top of that. So you really don't want to.
Learning how to pair wines, to me, it's been amazing. I've learned more about it from you personally than I've ever known before, and I'm getting better at it, and it really makes a difference.
It does.
And people that I have over for dinner or whatever, we try it, and they're like, "Oh, Andy, this is amazing." The mixture of the flavors at that moment, and so
I forget the mathematical term of 2 + 2 = 5, because each one is worth 2, but when you put them together, you get more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, it's a little ratatouille moment.
Just knowing the choices, or sometimes maybe I should say lack of choices in El Paso of wines. I'm really intrigued on how you do your job. How do you tell me from start to finish? How do you pick your wines?
Yeah, once again, I really am in a good position now, moving to El Paso just about 2 years ago. But a lot of it has been like a groundwork that you guys actually have set up that I was actually unaware of until now. I also have a big heart for Francisco Capi Central and Oscar and Taft Diaz, who's honestly been moving the wine culture quite far. So looking for wines, a little difficult, but I think with a couple of emails, I found a couple of good sources, and I'm able to still procure the wines I would probably find in like LA. Yeah. Other than that, I think the wine world is changing drastically, and there are just things that are just a little bit unaffordable, maybe for this market. So I think it's always our job to find something that's new and just as delicious. So yeah.
I'm really interested too about the pairing part of it. Do you start with the dish and maybe have some of that dish and then go, okay, what goes good with this, or how do you do all that?
Yeah, exactly that. So I kind of think about this. There's an artist that's putting out a dish, right? And there's only one of that dish, but there's a million different wines out there in the world, right? And it's within our job to just kind of recall on our memory and just see what could possibly pair with that. Obviously, there are some things within standard that you can like just pair automatically with, like duck, Pinot Noir. It's a very classic Burgundian, like French pairing, right? There's obviously already an outline for a lot of those things, but sometimes just knowing how a wine can taste and does taste, and what are those kind of ingredients that kind of work well together with those kind of notes with the wines. It's always food first and then wine after, for me at least.
Okay, yeah, you're right. There's many more choices of wine than there are food, so it's the world is your oyster, right? I mean, you've just got so much out there. That's so interesting. So I don't have another question.
Well, I have one, and this is not on the subject specifically of wine, but I'm really curious about what you guys have up your sleeve with the new Testarossa. I've been saying for a while that El Paso could use a new Italian restaurant. Not that we don't. There are a couple of nice ones now, but we could use more, especially in Italian. So it's really cool that Austin has decided to do this, because he tends to execute pretty well. I mean, look at Casa Pantera. It's become very popular. I go there with some regularity. We like it. Every time we've been there, we like the environment. I don't like it in the winter so much. It's a little chilly in there for me. But the summer and the nice winter times, it's got a great patio. Tell us a little bit about Testarossa and what the plan is for this. What kind of Italian food? What kind of wines are you gonna, what's happening there?
Yeah, I feel like, and I really wish you guys can see the renderings, but when I first saw the renderings, I was like, wow, this is most likely going to be the best restaurant build out, if not the biggest restaurant build out in all of El Paso. So I feel like with this space, we're kind of heralding, well, there's a lot of expectations for us, right? At the moment people set foot in that space, they're already having some sort of expectation. And so whether it's up to us to kind of take on those expectations or go above and beyond, kind of exceed those expectations. So it's going to be a 3-story concept. On the first floor, it's like a main dining room where it's more intimate, fine dining, but we want the energy to be very loose and just very casual, where people don't feel too stuffy and just kind of be themselves. We also have a mezzanine where it could fit about 70 people for private events. And then we'll have like a rooftop pizza, wine bar, cocktail bar. Perfect. So like more lively, fun energy there. Bring some fun wines over to that concept. But yeah, I hope that with the space we can kind of pivot the food culture here in El Paso, and I hope that we can kind of push that for us.
So the fine dining experience is going to be more white tablecloth than anything, or no?
No, not. I would say more loose. I hope. I don't want people to feel like so stuffy or stiff. Like, I want people to just be themselves, have a good time, just relax, enjoy. And I think kind of the hospitality that we're looking for is very warm and genuine. So I hope we don't kind of get to that kind of white tablecloth stuffy vibes. I hope not. Yeah.
I'm excited about the pizzas. And, people don't realize just how much you can do with wine, with pizzas. Everybody thinks, Chianti, you got to have a Chianti. It's like, yeah, the Chiantis are great, especially if it's got a lot of olives on the pizza. I mean, Chiantis are fantastic, I think. But there's so much you can do, because it's essentially just bread, and every wine goes with bread. And then it depends on your toppings. And then you have the whole world is open to you. So that sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
So do you have any sense yet, maybe it's too early, but a sense yet of where you're headed with the wine at Testarossa?
Yeah, I think it's such a funny thing. Like, if you look at Italian restaurants, they're so prideful. Like, they'll always have only Italian wines, right? But if you look at French restaurants, they have like Italian, they have French, they have German, Spanish. California sometimes.
Excuse me, I had to.
And working some like Italian concepts, I feel like it's such a big opportunity loss to not have any other varietals. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, and it makes sense, right? There's so many things, there's so many varietals in Italy that you can pretty much just make a whole wine list out of that. And I totally get that, but I think Italy can be very unapproachable at times, can just be difficult with like Montepulciano, Abruzzo, and like Vino di Montepulciano, like all those kind of categories, and people can get a little lost and confused. So just like bring some Burgundies, bring some California where people can be a little more comfortable, and yeah.
You know, I kind of, and I know Chris and I probably disagree on this because I know Chris is always looking for that you know, that Easter egg, and me too. I mean, I love to find a less expensive, delicious wine that I go, wow, I know about this now. I'm now buying it. But I've always liked it when restaurants have both. I'll call it the hit wines. You know, the big name wines. If I want to have a big name wine, it's there. But if I also want to delve deeper into a library of wines that is not well known, and we're looking to the sommelier or the wine steward or whoever to kind of guide us to say, have you ever thought about, or have you ever tried this, or I think you should try this, especially with that dish. And I kind of like it to be both worlds. And I think Chris is more experimental or more interested in that more rare find than the hit wine.
Right.
But I like him to have both.
I almost never drink something I know at a restaurant.
I know that.
That's the fun of it.
About you.
You know, back 100 years ago in France, there were some restaurants that the wine they served, that was the only place on earth you could buy that wine. Yeah. They bought everything from a producer, and if you like that wine, you have to go to that restaurant. And I kind of look at it that way. Like,
that's actually kind of a cool concept.
That is.
It creates a little demand where...
For sure.
Through scarcity.
Yeah, exactly. And, as transportation wasn't real good back then and stuff like that. I mean, it's France, come on. So it's, I kind of approach it with the same thought. Like, I want to see what the restaurant has to offer me. Because I want to see what Albert thinks. I want to get into his brain and figure out and taste what he's put on the list.
Will your menu, by the way, some restaurants do this, some don't, but will you have wine pairing or recommendations that are listed with entrees, or will that be more of a discussion with the wine steward or whoever's on site?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of my approach is I like to kind of come after when they order. Is this idea of like, oh, like, tell me what you ordered. Like, do you want? It looks like you probably use like a wine bottle or red wine bottle. So for me, wine has always been food. It's never been more than that. And I think wine has also been an occasion. So like to have people around, have a good time, have good food. All that kind of just like creates an experience, right? So a good bottle of wine that's like paired with the food is always a great time.
Agreed. Nobody ever warned me, but I found that my palate travels around the world, and obviously I'm tasting wines at least 5 days a week, and I taste what people bring me to taste, and I make recommendations and I do different things. But when it comes to my turn to actually pick a wine, I find myself like keep going back to a certain region for a certain amount of time. And then, I don't know if I somewhat subconsciously figure out that I feel okay with that area now, and then I don't do it on purpose. But for instance, I don't know, a year and a half ago, it was Burgundy. Just could not get enough Burgundy. Probably the last 8 months was Piedmont. Just wanted to do a deep dive on Piedmont. Happen to be getting into the Upper Rhone right now. Hermitage and Côte-Rôtie and all of that, Condrieu. And that's just such a fun, that one's fun because it's kind of a small area. But I don't know if this is unique to me. Do other people's palates travel? Does your palate travel?
I don't think my palate travels as often. I think being in LA, there's so much like diverse cuisine where different occasions, different food and cuisines just require different wines. Obviously, people crave certain things more at a certain time. Sure. Like at a certain time, I was also like I'm a big Chardonnay girl, so I love just kind of tasting Burgundies and Napa Chards and wherever else I can find Chardonnay. And I know German's popping up with some Chardonnay, so yeah, I think it's just whatever you're craving. I mean, once again, wine's food. You're craving Burgundies, you're craving go get Burgundies. You're craving Nebbielas, go get Nebbielas. There's nothing wrong about that.
But it sticks with me for, unfortunately, a while.
Unfortunately.
Or fortunately, I don't know. It also maybe, I just thought of it while you were answering the question. I wonder, I have just recently, let's say in the last decade or decade and a half, been able to start collecting. And I'm not talking like super high ends. There's no, Romani Contis or anything like that. But just, a little bit better wines than I used to be able to get. And I've found that you get a better deal when you buy a case. So maybe my traveling palate has to do also with my collecting ability. I don't know. So are you able to collect wine? I know you've kind of moved around a lot. You've been a gypsy. So are you able to collect wine?
I have it for a little bit, but I've kind of just in a funny situation. I'm trying to clear out my wine fridge so I can have that for a little drink fridge for my lady. But not so much now. I think wine prices, like a lot of the things that I loved drinking, got a little bit too pricey. So I'm kind of on a venture now to kind of find some cool stuff and new things. But I think once I start buying for a restaurant, like I don't really buy much at home. I'll start keeping my cellar.
Well, you don't need to.
At work. Yeah. So.
And do you ever find yourself cleaning out your wine fridge and coming across a wine that you freaking loved 2 years ago and you don't like anymore? And you're like, I can't believe I like that. And you give it away to a friend.
Oh.
Does that ever happen?
I feel like it does happen, but in like a different way, where it's like, this is a wine that I liked 2 years ago, but maybe because of like my experience and learning and training, now I find this wine not so enjoyable.
Exactly.
But I don't ever think that there's a bad wine. I think there can be a bad occasion for a wine, but I think all wines subjectively can be very great. For example, like you can have friends over, you can eat hot Cheetos. Why would you open up a DRC bottle, right? It makes no sense. Phenomenal, beautiful wine, but just doesn't fit the occasion, right?
Sure.
I'm not a big fan of Amarone. That was kind of like my time when I grew up, or like my big reds were like Syrahs, right? And those are, for me, really beautiful juice. I'm not much into Amarone, but back then people would drink Amarone, have steak, smoke a cigar, and it was very befitting of that time, right? And Amarone would be a very delicious wine during that time. So I hate to say that, because after 2 years I learned so much. I hate that wine now. I just think it needs a better occasion.
Interesting.
And I still love Amarone. So
Yeah.
I'm still there.
For the right time. The right time. I don't drink much of it, but
like
there's a right time for it.
Well, we've been having an interesting conversation with Albert Park, who is the wine director of the new Testa Rosa restaurant. And by the way, Austin, if you're watching this right now, thank you for allowing Albert to join us today. We appreciate you taking the time. And we're really excited about the upcoming debut of El Paso's newest Italian restaurant, Testa Rosa. And you're going to be over in Montecillo, as I understand, right next to Top Golf.
Yeah, right across Top Golf, building right next to.
So that's going to happen. You said like July or something.
Hopefully July. We just painted our walls, so
we're going to be watching for it, and we will be there. Please invite us to the opening party. Chris, why don't we do a little recap of what's happening with the Winefest right now? Maybe you could kind of share what we're doing, which has been announced at our media event last week, and
right.
Would you kind of share with us?
No, absolutely.
Changes that are being
absolutely.
made?
A lot of changes going on right now.
News.
We try to get out and visit another wine festival somewhere in America every year in April. April 25th. But we went to Dana Point last weekend, 2 weekends ago, and we actually learned quite a bit. And we like to kind of tailor our wine fest a little bit towards the things that we learned. And one was their VIP section was much larger than ours and much different than ours, and we saw the value in that. So we are going to change our VIP area. It's going to cost a little bit more, but it's going to be so worth it. And we're actually going to be serving some of the high-end wines and foods are going to be in the VIP area only, where you cannot get them anywhere else. But we're taking up the whole, what I would call the East Wing. So it's going to be a much bigger area. So pay attention to VIP tickets. They're really going to be a completely different experience. We also decided to have some vendors. I was always really against vendors I was very strict. If it's food and wine, I mean, that's what our name is and nothing else. But, as long as it's a gourmet type situation, if it's a up-level type situation, the knife guy is probably welcome now.
Yeah.
The cutting board, exotic cutting boards, or,
relevant
or possibly some glassware or something, things that go with our theme. We are going to try just a little, just put a toe in the water, just a few. We're going to try and see how we like that. But
So it's not going to be like a Walmart
no,
store, booth. It's
just a
gonna be
little bit.
related to wine and food.
We're talking like a half dozen. So.
Yeah, that'll be cool. And what about, tell us a little bit about the, I know there's some changes to the Culinary Institute event.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes, it was. It's kind of our fault. We were always thinking of making it a 2-day event because the tent prices, and you might as well do two things instead of one. And for some reason, we always thought Sunday was the good idea. But really in people's minds, the big event on Saturday, it really does need to be the end. You need to end on a big bang, and so we are moving the Culinary Institute cook-off to Friday afternoon, evening. So it's going to be the best happy hour in El Paso, and that is moving to Friday now. It's going to be super fun, and then Saturday will stay as Saturday always has been, bigger and better.
So Saturday grand tasting.
The grand tasting
remains
is
Saturday,
just like it always
Friday
is.
night's going to be like an afternoon, late afternoon, early evening,
and then that's it. There is
Yeah.
nothing on Sunday anymore.
I think it's a great idea, and I think it'll be a lot of fun for Friday night and then kind of feeding into Saturday. So find out more at elpasowinefest.com. This is 9 and Wine. We appreciate your watching. Thanks to KTSM, NBC 9, David Candelaria, your whole crew over there. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time. 9 and Wine.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.